Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Home invasions, people stealing stuff right off your porch. That's why everybody's getting doorbell cameras and everybody's getting security systems. That's why everybody has safety system signs right in their yard, including me. You don't want these idiots trying to grab your stuff. So many of us live by the Amazon box these days. You see the videos all the time, people just getting out of their car, walking up, grabbing a box from your porch, and getting back in their car and driving away. Now you can get their face right on camera with a security system. Safety Systems. Get in touch with VFL JJ Surlis and his team this week. They can take care of you, help you protect your home, and protect your business. All right. There's obviously a correlation between the draft and recruiting in that, well, if you recruit better players, you're going to send more guys to the pros. Yeah, sure enough. There's also the opposite. Once you become a pro factory, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, we were talking NIL earlier, Ryan, those schools, they don't have to outspend everybody because people can sit there, oh, I'll get my NIL, but I'm also going to the first round of the NFL draft because they have a conveyor belt that spits out prospects. So there's that other side. Instead of just the chicken coming before the egg, sometimes the egg comes before the chicken. You get those draft picks, people start saying, oh, that's a pro factory, I need to go there. My question is, that's surely a luxury, but is it a necessity? Bob, does Josh Heupel need to start cranking more guys into the NFL to get the recruiting up?
Let's call it a cupcake. It would be the icing on the cupcake, because what I look at is how good do your coaches improve guys you get. Let's look at most of the draftees Josh Heupel has had, and guess what? They were recruited by Coach Pruitt. Hyatt, Pruitt guy. Wright, Pruitt guy. Hooker was a Pruitt guy. And they coached those guys up to where they were good draft picks. So, yes, I think it helps. I think you need some of that. But bottom line is, if I'm a lot of these guys, I'm looking at, hey, I go there, I get better.
Ryan, is a necessity.
I think it is. You have to have that ability to sell it. You can't not have at least what they've done the last few years. You've got to put 3 to 6 guys in the draft, I think, every single year. If you don't have that, it's going to be used against you, or you're not going to be seen as a comparable program to the Ohio States or Alabamas that you're trying to compete with all the time. So you've got to have that at least as a baseline. I think if you're wanting to have more than a top 10 class, and that's Tennessee fans keep thinking with NIL we should be recruiting, top 7, top 5 classes. If you're going to do more than that, you've got to become more of a pro factory. So okay. I think there's a limit to what you can do if you're not more of a pro factory.
Okay, before you answer, guys, I want to spend more time in my next segment, so I'm going to give each of you about 20 seconds. Is it a necessity?
Without question, absolutely. Had an agent tell me one time that anytime he would sign a new client, they would ask, "Why did you go to the school?" Almost every time the answer would be the best chance for me to get to the NFL. It's imperative that he gets more guys.
I think they say that, but how many guys go to Kentucky and Missouri and LSU?
Recruits look at that more than winning. They don't care nearly as much about winning.
I think that
it's a necessity, Chuck?
Yes, and I'll tell you why.
I agree with Bob. I don't think it is.
I think it's changed with the kids you're recruiting. Tradition doesn't really matter. Facilities doesn't really matter. Can you get me in the league? That's what you hear over and over again with the players you're recruiting.
It's wildly important. Not going to downplay it, no question. I think it is a luxury, but I will say it's not a necessity because if that's the case, then Alabama's never going to lose anybody to anyone.
Yeah.
Ever. And they do. They lose some players.
Well, you're still going to lose
some. People look at it and say, I want to go to the best place to get me ready for the pros. And they sign with Kentucky? Because they signed with Tennessee.
Well, if they're front 7, that makes sense. Otherwise, it does not, right?
Yeah, I think people say it. I think it's important. I don't think it's a necessity.
Because sometimes kids think I can still get to the NFL at this other school and I can make money. Or
and I can play earlier. I can play earlier.
So there is something else.
So you have to be able to sell it as a baseline expectation.
Yeah.
It's part of the ecosystem.
All right. Yeah. But not a necessity. Right. It's important. It's like nitrogen in our air, but it's not oxygen in our air. All right, when we come back, what are Tennessee's most underrated and overrated positions going into the fall? Let's do that. Come on back on the Sports Source.